This is how I healed my sexuality. This has been my process over the past 4 or 5 years, working very, very intentionally with healing my own sexual traumas. This is how I healed my sexuality, and I'm gonna guide you through how I did that so that you can do it with yourself also. But first, a little disclaimer. I'm not a psychotherapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, not a sexological body worker, not a sexual counselor, not any of those things. What am I? I'm a spiritual healer, a spiritual guide, and a spiritual practitioner. I'm going to share my own experience with you, but you have sovereignty over yourself, over your process, over your decisions, over your body and your emotions. You choose for yourself what to take from this, what is right for you, and to which capacity. So this is not by any means, this is not any kind of medical consultation or mental consultation, and you are the one responsible for yourself. So just putting that out there. Where did I start? In the point where I started to heal my sexuality, I was pretty much in real deep, painful, traumatic sexual experience. Every time my partner would touch me, I would have anxiety attacks. I would start crying, my body would freeze. I would go into disassociation. And I understood that there is something really deep inside my system that is not allowing me to even stay in my own body during sexual connection. I'm not even talking about intercourse, but I'm just saying the act of being touched with the intention to continue towards a sexual interaction. That was already too much for me. But I was very, very lucky at a very young age to be exposed to sacred sexuality. So something in me knew that there is another option, but I wasn't quite clear as to why I am feeling so much pain. And that glorious sacred thing is out there, but it's not even reachable for me. And it wasn't that it wasn't, I mean, it's beyond that it's not even reachable for me. It was like I was in a completely different world regarding sexuality. Everything about my body and my soul when it came to sexuality was oozing pain, oozing trauma, oozing, just paralysis. I was paralyzed by even the thought of being sexual. And I, for many years, thought that I was asexual. Yeah, I completely thought that I just wasn't a sexual being. But at some point, I reached the point of no return. The point of no return is that point in your life where you understand that this cannot continue the way it is until now. Something has to change. That point for me was right after I got married. I came into that realization with myself that, I'm with this person that I share deep love and connection with, that he is my best friend, and I cannot have an intimate relationship with him. I cannot expose my body to him and feel safe. I cannot even, not even talking about pleasure, I just cannot even be in an intimate sexual relationship with him. It cannot continue like that. And it dawned on me, and at first it was this huge hole in my stomach, this pit in my stomach saying, oh, well, okay, so it cannot continue like this, but what are you gonna do about it? And that's the first tip I wanna give you. Are you in that point of no return? Do you feel already that the fear of not doing anything is greater than the fear of doing something, right? The point of no return is when you understand that if you continue down this line in 10 years, in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, your life is gonna be not where you want it to be. So you have to pivot and something has to change. If you're not in that point yet and you want to get there, consider doing fear setting. If you don't know what that is, check out Tim Ferriss' fear setting. What that is an exercise where you sit down and you journal or you imagine what your life would look like if you go down that line and continuing with this path in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What will your life look like? How would it feel in the day-to-day? What will your relationships look like? And then on the other hand, there is the potential. So what will your life look like if you will go down the road of healing yourself? In 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, what is the potential? What will your sexuality could look like? What will your connection with your body can look like? What is your pleasure level could look like? What is available for you? I decided to dive deep into my own sexuality. I took a very conscious decision to dive deep into healing my sexuality. I remember that day sitting in the balcony with myself and just holding this gigantic prayer in myself, saying to myself, Yara, this cannot go on. This must change. And in that same day, I took my first action. And my first action personally was to approach a professional, because my paralysis, my body was reacting in such a huge way that I knew that there was trauma stored in my body. I just still didn't know quite what it was. And the truth is that once I got married, what changed for me was that I was able to feel safe enough in my surroundings to be able to bring about all of this pain, all of these things that were stored inside my body. So another tip or another step for you to do is to check with yourself, what do I need in order to feel safe enough to touch these things inside me? Because when we have such suffering and pain mechanism in our energy, something in there needs to feel very, very grounded in order to allow these things to come up, because trauma and pain will not come up if the ground is not stable enough for them to be supported when they come up. For me, it was my partnership. That does not mean that's what's going to be for you. There is something that you need to find within yourself, within your surroundings, that will allow you to feel so safe that you can touch in the depth, in the core of your pain, so that you can heal it. So what do you need for that? Check that with yourself. So I had a point of no return, and I started being very, very active in my healing. I started taking action. These actions can be many things. For me, it was approaching a professional practitioner to help me open that wound inside me so that I can heal it. Maybe for you, it's deciding to look inwards. Maybe it's deciding to speak to a friend that can reflect to you what they're seeing with your process. So whatever it is that you feel that is the right step for you, because listen, we're talking about spiritual healing here. We're talking about transformation that your soul wants to go through. Your soul is so fucking wise. It knows how to guide you. So listen to yourself. What is the first step for you? And fear not. Yeah, become an active healer. Take that action even today if you can. One action will lead to another. One action will lead to another. You will not know the whole process from now, but you can start now with whatever you have. I can offer you my guidance and my practices and my solutions for this. This is the work that I did with myself. And to be very honest, it took me over 4 years to come to a place of pleasure, to come to a place of allowing my body to speak, to be out there, to be outspoken, to feel a deep connection from within. Love and trust. Love and trust were there before that, but today I'm now still in the process of healing. Yeah, like I'm not this woohoo sacred manifester of sexuality right now, but I've transitioned into a different state where my base energy in my body is no longer pain. The base energy in my body is no longer pain now. It's joy and pleasure. Cannot explain to you how tremendous that is. My body is no longer based in pain. My body is now based in pleasure. I'm learning what the fuck that means, how to become pleasurable with my own body, but the base energy has shifted, and that is a huge, huge step in my own healing of my sexuality, and you will get there too. I'm sorry for the lights changing. It's the light from the window. So here are a few tips and guidances on how to become your own active healer in your sexuality. The first thing that I would offer you is speak to your vagina. Speak to your womb. Speak to your breasts. Your body, your feminine organs, they hold trauma. They hold pain, they hold energy that is not only from this life. Even if you don't have a memory of a traumatic past experience in this life, your body, your organs hold trauma from past lives from you and also from past generations. And as women, we grow up learning that our bodies don't even belong to us. Our bodies belong to society and to the men that are in our life, right? Our men or our companion, I'm sorry if you're an LGBTQIA+, I am speaking primarily to women right now. The male owns the female body, right? The male partner, he's the one that you're supposed to give pleasure to. Like, your pleasure is secondary, if even has a place in this conversation of sexuality. And your body is also meant for producing offsprings. So your own pleasure, your own joy is somewhere in the end if you ever get to it. But there are a lot of things that your body is meant to do before giving you pleasure. And when we start speaking to our womb, speaking to our breasts, speaking to our vagina, what we do is we start to flip that script. You start to create a connection with your own organs again. You start to build trust because they were separated from you. They were taken away from you. You were told that you don't even own them. They don't belong to you. And by speaking to them, you start owning them again. What does that even mean to speak to your organs? You take a breath, you close your eyes, and you put your hand somewhere on your body, and you just feel it. You feel it, you breathe with it, and you let whatever emotion comes up in you as you touch yourself, you let whatever emotion comes up in you to speak. And you can speak to it back. You can have a conscious conversation with your body. Emotion comes up, feel it, breathe, speak to it. Feel it, breathe, speak to it. And you can ask your body questions. What is being held in you? What is stored in you? How can I help you? I would like to feel you. Say to it that you love it. Say to it that you see it. Say to it that you're here to own it. And begin to have a conscious conversation with your own sexual organs and with your own body. The next thing you can do is continue to work or start working with your sacral chakra. Here it is right here. Your sacral chakra is located about 3 fingers underneath your belly button. The color for it is orange, and it governs the energy of sexuality and creativity and Mother Earth and life force. So your sacral chakra is actually also where your feminine organs are, the womb, the ovaries, and all of that. But it holds the energy of creativity and life force. The way you can start working with your sacral chakra is A, practice being creative. B, sensual touch, sensual movement, moving your pelvis, dancing with your pelvis, yeah? Working with colors, working with the color orange. What do you feel when you touch on the color orange? What does it make you feel inside? Because orange is fucking bold, right? Do you allow yourself to be that bold, that creative? Being a woman is bold. It's really bold in this life, in this world that we live in right now. So begin working with the sacral chakra, finding affirmations for the sacral chakra, asking yourself questions directed to the sacral chakra, and practicing sacred sensual movement. In the same way, I would really recommend for you to work with your root chakra, where the color for it is red, and it's located close to the perineum, so right in the base of our spine, right in the base of our pelvic floor. And the reason I recommend for you to work with your root chakra is because the root chakra is associated with safety. And if you remember, we started this conversation saying that for me personally, the thing that I needed in order to be able to even touch on that topic inside myself was to feel safe. So if you want to heal your sexuality, you have to create a foundation of safety where you can even touch on those things, yeah? So how can you make yourself, help yourself feel safe? How can you help yourself feel seen no matter what? How can you create a space for yourself where you're sacred, you're held, you're loved, yeah? And you can work with the color red, again, doing pelvic movement. You can do for yourself a yoni massage and really get into what it means to be safe in my body, what it means to be safe in my body. And I want to touch on that because as women, unfortunately, we live in a world where it's not safe to be a woman. Still, it's not safe to be a woman. But you and I, we're gonna change that because we're gonna be so fucking sovereign and bold in our own bodies that we're gonna change the fucking world, right? So How can you help yourself feel so safe and so seen that it's safe enough to touch on your sexuality? Another thing that I would really recommend for you to do is learn about the history and the past of women in your lineage. And of women in general, but also and specifically women in your lineage. The reason for that is that we hold trauma in our body that does not come only from our life in this current life, but it comes also from our personal, our soul in our past lives, and also very dominantly from the past lives of women in our ancestral line. I'm gonna repeat this. You hold in your cells trauma from women in your ancestral line. And that means that once you do your own inner work and you heal yourself, you also heal them. And you also heal women in your future. If you will have children, if you will choose to do that, or if any other women in your family will have children, you will heal their karmatic flow also. And I would really recommend for you to learn about the past of the sexual life and traumas that possibly women in your lineage have went through, because this might come up as you start touching on your sacral chakra. These women might come to you in their soul form, and they might ask for liberation from you. You don't need to do anything specific about it, but only to hold it in your heart, that this liberation is also sacred liberation for my lineage and for women all over since forever. And knowing the past lives and knowing the lineage of women in your family, that might help you understand a lot of what you're going through. That might help you understand a lot of your own blocks and your traumas, because you might be experiencing symptoms that might not even make sense from this life, but once you know the lineage of other women in your life, in your family, they will make sense. And the last thing I would recommend for you to do is to make time to work deeply with things that keep coming up. Because once you open up this space in you, things will start coming up. Maybe it's memories, maybe it's past lives, maybe it's generational trauma, maybe it's childhood things, stuff that you don't even think that has to do with sexuality. But once something comes up twice, 3 times, 4 times, I take it as a sign that this something needs you to work deeply with it in order to heal. Not everything can release from our energy system just like that by looking at it. Some things often need much deeper intentional work. What I like to do is set up a time where I call it self-healing session. In this self-healing session, as if I'm going to a healer like me, to any kind of other practitioner to help me, I'm going to sit with myself and consciously do work with these topics. It could be inner child work, energy work, journaling, eye work. I have a whole course about self-healing practices in my website. You can go ahead and check that out. But make time to do that, to go deep into the topics that are blocking you, because if they're still there, even though you're becoming aware of it, then it's very likely that you need to do some deep work with it. Now, I can tell you as a woman that came from deep suffering in anything that has to do with my sexuality and transitioned into a joy base in my body and in my sexuality, it's possible for you. I did not think it was possible for me at some stages, but I held a very, very strong vision for myself, and that vision was, I deserve to feel pleasure. It is my fucking birthright to feel pleasure in my body. It is your birthright to feel pleasure in your body, and nobody's gonna take that away from you. Not even society, not even patriarchy, not even years upon years upon years of oppression. You are sovereign, you are strong, and you have the capacity to heal yourself. And as you heal yourself and you take ownership on your own pleasure and on your own body, you heal so many other women. You heal so many other women, past, present, and future. And just know that it doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is that you're in the process. Because if you start now, at some point you will get there. But if you don't start now, you might never will. And you deserve it. You really deserve it. You deserve to feel pleasure. You deserve to feel strong. You deserve to feel safe. Now, I really want to hear from you because this is a conversation, so please keep this conversation going. What is the topic in your life right now that you are working with, that you're healing, and how can I help you? Write it down in the comments. What's the topic that you're working with? I'll do my best to give you a video on that topic. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And remember, we heal ourselves to heal the world.